Yo, Tripolar Bear. Expedition scarabs are only 3 chaos right now on the trade website, and that's looking at a bulk buying rate of at least a minimum of 50 from the seller. These are worth so much more money than people are selling them for. It's actually wild. You can make so much by just having the expedition nodes on the atlas and only those, right? You can even just grab these. You want to have a little bit of the explosion chance, right? You can grab stuff like that. The expedition encounter stuff doesn't matter, right? But if you wanted the extra artifacts here, you should get those as well, right? Take all the expedition nodes on the tree, buy the 3C Scarab, and check this out. I ran 40 maps with rusted expedition scarabs. We'll talk about the Gilded and the Sexton later, but just rusted, and I made 24 chaos every time, right? So that's like 21C profit per map off of rusted expedition scarabs. That's a crazy return on your investment, right? A 3C Scarab, and you're getting 21 chaos back profit for just nodes on the tree, right? There's no other shenanigans. I didn't even run these maps like juicy at all. I just did them elk and go in a burial chamber because I had a bunch of burials, right? You just choose an open layout and you go, right? So let's talk about the strategy while you're in the map and the maps that you should choose. So obviously, you want to have an open layout map. I had a cemetery, so I'm running a cemetery here. You can run dunes. You could do something like City Square, any fun map, right? You could even do Strand and Burial, right? Just choose a nice fun map and put these in there. You should be adding Expedition to your money-making strategy because it doesn't really take any points on the tree. The scarabs are so cheap. Honestly, buy polished instead of rusted if you have the little bit more money to do that. But it's so easy, it's so free, and you make so much from it from the logbooks and the re-roll currencies. So before we talk about Gilded and Juiced, let's talk about how we can do the expedition strategy once we get into our maps. So once you get here, it doesn't matter who it is, you want to always do the expedition, even if it's Rog, okay? Rog, you know, maybe he's not so pog sometimes, maybe he is for you. Totally depends. But we have Tujen here, which is a little lucky. And you're going to want to walk around and you're going to want to look for 2 words. All right. Logbook and quantity, but it's going to be quantity of items. Okay. So we have quantity of artifacts. We don't really want quantity of artifacts as a huge priority, but we have a quantity of items. So if we had a logbook, I would go for the logbook first, right? I'm a chaos build, so immune to lightning doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get this quantity of items alongside all the other runic monster markers. And that's the big skulls, right? Not the small ones, the large ones. They're on a larger stick. The skull is a lot bigger. These are what drop all of the good stuff, right? And once I get quantity of items dropped by monsters, if there are no other remnants that have quant, if there's no logbook that I'm going for, if there's no even like currency, right, I would go for currency after the logbook and then after the quant, right? So the tier list is logbook, quantity of items dropped by monsters, currency. And now, since there's just this, I'm going to go for the runic monster markers, which is the #1 priority, right? So you go for the remnants with a bunch of runic monsters, and then you just start blasting all the runic monsters up. And you need to make sure you're doing it in the correct order, because if I choose quantity of items dropped by monsters first, this is going to affect every other expedition in the chain, just like it does with Arch Nemesis, right? You put in a currency item as the first Arch Nemesis reward, and now you're getting currency items for the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th, in addition to everything else, right? And so you need to make sure you're doing everything in the correct order. And now I'm just going to walk around and I'm going to make sure I don't choose immune to chaos. And I am going to make sure that I'm getting every monster that's a runic skull that I possibly can. And so we've gotten that one. I'm going to go ahead and scoop up this one. And you know what? I might as well just take some chests as well, right? The little chest markers, they don't really give too much. I find they're like really weak most of the time, but you might as well get them if you can. And so I have one more explosion left. I'm just going to walk around, press V, and you see I got all the runic monsters. There's no more runic monsters left. So I can kind of just place this one somewhere randomly, right? I'm just going to go ahead and place it right here. And then we'll detonate our explosion. And you're going to see the first sequence is going to be this one. And now that's really nice because all of our monsters are going to have that increased quantity of items. And that's just going to keep going all the way down. Every runic monster we pop is going to have that increased quantity now. And that's just going to keep happening all the way through until the explosion chain's done. Now, hopefully you get a logbook. Maybe, if anything, you're going to get some reroll currency. One thing to keep in mind is quantity on maps is pretty important. So if you're going to do the juicer stuff, we'll talk about right after this, you do kind of want to have some big quant, and I'll give some tips on how to get that. But then you just walk around, click your excavated chest. Sometimes you get exotic coinage. That's pretty cool. And that's the reroll currency. And then we're just running around clicking some stuff. All right. And the one thing you need to watch out for is going to be corrupted items dropping from your expedition. So that can be really bad because if a logbook drops and it's corrupted, then you don't get so much, right? But that is the expedition running in a gist, right? It's super easy. Literally just look for logbooks, right? The word logbook, then quantity of items dropped by monsters. Then you just pick all the runic monsters, right? You get all the big skulls. It's so easy. And then you just need to look for, immune to whatever damage you're dealing. Make sure you read that. I've had that happen a few times. So this was the rusted. Honestly, just buy the polished scarabs if you have the extra money. It'll be worth it. You get more remnants, and I think you get some more explosion radius as well, right? You're getting an extra 25% increase runic monster markers, another 20% increased explosions. It's really, really good, and they don't really cost too much more above that, right? I guess it's another 4C or something if you're getting huge bulk. If you take it down a little bit, you can probably save a little. It's pretty nice, right? Another 25% runic monsters. But, I mean, you can't beat, 3C. It's a 3C scarab that's going to give you 21 cans, right? You literally can't beat it. So that's the super budget version. Now, we're going to talk about if you want more money out of your expedition, what you can do to do that. So, for your map, instead of just elking it and putting it in, what I did for the next set of 40 for the juiced expedition is I elked them all, checked for the mods, re-rolled for stuff that I think is really annoying. And then I went ahead and I corrupted all of them. We didn't get too crazy, right? But sometimes when you use the Vol Orb, you're getting an 8 mod map. Now, of course, make sure that you can still run the map. But aside of that, you're getting lots of extra quant, lots of extra pack size. And also, with the rusted expeditions that I was doing, I was trying out Searing Exarch altars. They're bad. Don't do them. I thought maybe they could be good with the extra Searing Exarch currency. Nope, it's not worth it. Just go ahead and do Eater of Worlds. And now I learned this little thing. Apparently Tuna was doing it. I think Flames told me about it. But you can clear your map as long as it's a Dees layout. You full clear the map, taking all the altars. Obviously, you'd prioritize scarabs and getting all of the Eater of World altar scarabs. But you can also add quantity to the area. And when you're doing the Gilded expedition strategy, getting quant is going to mean more logbooks and more of those reroll currencies, which makes you so much money. So I did the 8 mod corrupted map. I ran through it all, taking the quant, right? And with my build, it wasn't too slow backtracking through burial. It took like an extra 5-10 seconds. Even if it was at the start of the zone, super fast, super easy. And then we have all this extra quant on an 8 mod map, and we get super juiced. And we're going to do Gilded Expedition Scarabs because the Gilded Expedition Scarab is going to give us 50% increased runic monsters, and while keeping the 20% number of explosives. So I get an extra explosion, which is really nice and handy. Just getting some super long chains. So we got juiced expeditions there. I also had bought these for about 100 chaos each. I see now they're about like 1 something X. Almost, honestly, starting to get into a not worth it territory at that price. I'm going to keep it real. I think most people, until this comes down, keep it in mind. I would wait for the sections to come down. Keep it in the back of your mind, though. 100% increased number of runic monster markers is really sick because now you're like doubling how many runic monsters you have, and you're almost doubling how many of those logbooks and reroll currencies that you can get. And so with the rusted strategy, it was a profit of 21C per map. With the Gilded strategy, it was a profit of 38 per map. I didn't take the cost out on this one because I just knew it was going to be 3C per. I did on this one. So this is the profit. So you are making an extra 17 chaos per map with the Gilded and the Sextant. But you have to have a lot of money to do that, right? Because the Sextant is very expensive, and then you're spending so much more on the Gilded. This is just if you want to take it another step further. Look at this. I got 356 Ostrogalis. These are like 2.5C each. Now, of course, I ran through them all. Mr. Broadcaster, I got to use them all, right? But we got so many of these. If I go back a little bit, I should have my logbooks here too. And I got so many logbooks. I also got, and this is something you guys need to keep in mind, I should have mentioned this earlier. I had also gotten logbooks that had a boss on them. And so I'll show that here. One of the bosses that I got was Medved, Medved, Feller of Heroes. You can see area contains Medved right under that first Druid of the Broken Circle. These sell for extra. I had a Varana as well, and those sold for an X. So that is a nice big boost. I did not include those things when I was pricing all this. These are all the logbooks that I've gotten, by the way, doing the Gilded, right? We had this many logbooks, which is what, 11 logbooks versus 20, 24, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 34 logbooks versus 11 with the Rusted, right? So many more logbooks and so much more artifacts, reroll currencies, etc. Now, the profit was bigger with the Gilded. You have to have a little bit more money there, but it can be there if you like the expedition mechanic. Now, also, this is you selling all of your reroll currencies. The thing is, people are buying reroll currencies because they're worth using, right? So with your Tujens, you could even just keep your Tujen reroll currencies, and this is not what I did, right? You could keep your Tujen reroll currencies, and you could use them. You could use Tujen artifacts and his reroll currencies, and you could buy stuff from his shop. And they're worth about 4.5 to 5C, his reroll currencies, and you will make 4.5 to 5C, right? Just getting random things, right? Here we got 5C. You just like go down a little bit with your scroll wheel and then double click. That's the way I do it, right? You just do this. You're buying random things, you know, whatever it is. I just wouldn't spend the exceptional Black Scythe, right? I wouldn't spend the super big ones on little things. I would save these for the more, the larger kind of trades. But this is just what you do with the reroll currency, right? It's so easy. You just go in there and you buy like anything that's decent. You check this jewel, I don't know, strength, life, whatever. We're going to reroll. Look at this. We got another 10C here. You know, I'm going to buy that. I double click because I'm not going to sit there and haggle for another like 10 sides down. I'll just go to like 70% double click and then we're good. Rusted Meta, I'm not going to buy. But like 20 chromes, I'll buy those. Rusted Cardo, nah. But like all the stuff that's worth like the lesser and the graders, you know, like I have thousands and it takes like 30 to get some alts or something, right? Super easy. I won't buy any of this random stuff here, right? Like this is kind of junky. It's like an armor scrap or something like that, right? But this is what you do with your Tujens. Like it's so easy. And if you're fine doing this, you know, I think you should, right? Because other people are just going to be doing this with your money anyway, and they're going to be extracting more value out of the reroll currencies than, you know, you had sold it for. It's super easy. You don't really have to think about it that much, especially now that you can't sell the artifacts anyway. You used to be able to. And so you had to kind of think and remember, if 200 graders are worth 2C, then 10 scours at 300 graders, or, you know, it's just like, if he shows you some currency that's not an armor scrap, or, you know, like I take the alts, I'll take the whatevers, you just buy it. And as long as it's not worth the big one, then you just kind of buy it, all the stuff, right? It's super easy, right? We did like 3 rerolls and we made, you know, more than we would have been able to sell all the reroll currencies for. Tujen is super easy. Danning can be a little bit more confusing. If you're not hip with it, you can just sell all your Danning currencies, right? All of his burial medallions for 10 chaos each, which is pretty nuts. But Danning can give you logbooks. And that's why his stuff is worth so much, because you can just get another logbook. You can also get exotic coinage, right, for the greater suns. You know, I just buy one of those. These, as long as it's not worth like grand sun, you can kind of just go through and buy all those, since we have thousands of those. So really, as long as it's not worth exceptional, And then Danning lets you buy all the other currency from all the other people as well if you want. Gwenin is a little more complicated. I would just sell them unless you're going to gamble. Really, you just buy heavy belts from Gwenin, leather belts from Gwenin, and you kind of just pray for it, right? You just want that good stuff. So I have like a little regex here. I'll include that down in the description. Also, you get the, you want to get the squire from her as well. So you have to get that elegant shield. And then ROG is complicated. You have to watch like another video on ROG crafting. You can kind of just like choose decent rares though and see if you can go from there. Claws, boots, rings, etc. But that is the expedition strategy in a nutshell. It's actually one of the easiest additions you can add to whatever currency farm you're doing. It's so simple. If you're just going to do the scarabs and sell your logbooks and rerolls, it's literally just free money, right? You're turning 3 chaos into 21 chaos every map. Or you're turning the price of, Gilded and a Sextant into an extra 38C profit every map, right? It's pretty good. And then you just go to the TFT Discord, which will be linked in the description as well, and you just sell all of your stuff in bulk. Super easy. People will just buy all your logbooks, right? Just see what other people are selling them for. Generally, the tier list for logbooks is going to be Black Sun. Those are going to go for 75 to 80C, right? That's Danning. Tujen is the Black Scythe. Or no. What is it? Danning is Knights of the Sun or something. Knights of the Sun. Tujen is Black Scythe. Tujens will sell for 45 or 50C, and then the other two will sell for like 25 to 30, as long as they're not corrupted. And then you just check and make sure they don't have bosses, because if they do, then they get to sell for so much more. Anyways, Expedition, easy, nice. It's a poor strat, ! Poor. Subscribe. I'll see you guys in the live stream. We're doing breach strats today. All right, bye.